Welcome back, everyone. Today we are diving into The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho.
Oh,
And, well, it's one of those books that a lot of people have read, so this isn't just going to be a book club recap, right?
right.
We're really going to, go beyond the surface here. We're going to explore some of the deeper themes of the book, symbolism and alchemy and the search for meaning, all that good stuff, the things that make this story so enduring.
It's really quite amazing, actually. When you think about it, The Alchemist is a relatively short novel, but despite that, it's managed to captivate millions of readers all around the world.
For sure, for sure.
And I think a large part of that widespread appeal is that there's this timeless quality to the message of the book, a kind of blending of ancient wisdom with a modern sensibility that people can really connect with even today.
Absolutely. So at the beginning of the book, we're introduced to Santiago, our main man. He's a shepherd, and, at the start, he's just this regular guy. But then, boom, he has this recurring dream, this crazy, vivid dream about finding treasure at the Egyptian pyramids. So, I mean, just off the bat, it sounds like a classic adventure story, right?
Right. Totally.
Mhm.
The treasure hunt, it's like a tale as old as time, One of the classic narratives that we see pop up again and again.
Yeah.
But I think what makes The Alchemist stand out is that the idea of treasure, it serves this much deeper purpose, Like it's not just about the gold. Instead, it acts as this catalyst to get Santiago to step outside of his comfort zone and into the unknown.
So, okay, so it's less about, actually finding the treasure and more about the journey of getting there. Is that what you're saying?
Exactly. The real gold, so to speak, is in the transformation that Santiago undergoes as he pursues his dream.
Right. Okay. I like that. The real gold. And, what really kicks off this whole journey for Santiago is when he meets Melchizedek, the king of Salem, who, kind of lays out this idea of the personal legend for him.
Right, and that's such a cool concept that Coelho introduces in the book. I feel like that's a big part of why people love it so much because, it takes this personal quest that Santiago is on and elevates it into something much grander,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Suddenly, we're not just reading about some guy looking for some treasure. We're thinking about our own lives,
Yeah.
this idea that everyone, each one of us, has this unique purpose, something we are meant to contribute to the world. It's a powerful concept that resonates with a lot of people on a really deep level.
Yeah. I mean, it's like what Coelho's suggesting is that we're all part of this larger tapestry,
Yeah.
and each one of us has our own unique thread that we're meant to weave into it.
That's a beautiful way to put it. And that actually ties in nicely to the concept of the soul of the world, which is another one of the really key themes that we see throughout the book. Have you ever heard of that before? The soul of the world.
Yeah. I mean, I've heard of it. I don't know that I could give you a definition or anything.
Right. Well, in the context of the book, The Soul of the World, it's like this underlying force that connects everything in the universe, this web of energy that flows through every single thing.
Okay, yeah, yeah, I know what you're talking about. But how does this soul of the world tie into Santiago's personal legend? What's the connection there?
Well, Coelho kind of implies that by pursuing our personal legends, by really going after the things that we are meant to do with our lives, we're actually aligning ourselves with the soul of the world. It's almost like we're tapping into this universal energy, this current that propels us toward our truest selves. Do you know what I mean?
So you're saying it's like the universe wants us to succeed, wants us to find our purpose, and then actually fulfill it.
Yeah, that's one way to look at it. It definitely gives you a sense of purpose, Like
Yeah.
we're not just these random beings drifting through life aimlessly, we're a part of something bigger. And this is where the whole concept of alchemy comes in. Because, see, with alchemy, it's not just about transforming, lead into gold. It's about the alchemists themselves, the person doing the alchemy. They themselves undergo a process of purification and refinement in order to make the transformation happen.
Oh, interesting. So are you saying that just like an alchemist refines raw materials, Santiago is refined by his life experiences?
Exactly.
Wow.
Yeah, exactly. Each challenge, each encounter, each lesson that he learns along the way all contributes to his growth and ultimately leads to his transformation.
Okay, so I'm starting to see how Santiago's journey mirrors the alchemical process.
Right. And one of the key places where we see this really clearly is during Santiago's time in Tangier. When he first gets there, he gets robbed, which, not ideal.
Not the best welcome to a new city.
Right. Not a great first impression. But it forces him to find work. And he ends up working for this crystal merchant, which, on the surface, it seems like kind of a setback, right? Like he's going to the pyramids to find treasure, and now he's stuck selling crystal in Tangier.
Right. It seems like kind of a detour on his path to his personal legend.
Yeah, exactly. But, it's actually in this kind of mundane experience that Santiago actually learns some super valuable lessons. Like, he starts to understand more about listening to his intuition, figuring out the whole nature of work, and also, like, sometimes opportunities come in the most unexpected places.
I feel like that saying, when one door closes, another one opens or whatever.
Exactly. Like, sometimes we get so fixated on what we think we should be doing, that we miss out on these amazing opportunities that are right in front of us. And this all ties into this idea of omens, which is another big theme in the book.
Right, because Santiago's got Urim and Thummim, but he's kind of clueless about how to actually use them to read the omens, at least at first.
Exactly. Like, he's told that these stones will help him read the omens, but it's not until he starts really paying attention to the world around him, like really tuning in to what the universe is trying to tell him through these little signs and coincidences. That's when he's actually able to start deciphering what the omens mean.
And I imagine it's not always easy to, listen to your intuition and trust those gut feelings, right? Like, I know there are definitely times when I read the book where Santiago doubts himself and whether he's on the right path.
Oh, for sure. And Coelho totally acknowledges that. Doubt is just a part of the process. There's actually this one part where the alchemist says something like, the fear of suffering is worse than the suffering itself. And I think that really applies to this idea of, like, taking a leap of faith and going after your dreams, you know? Because, yeah, it's scary. You might fail, you might get hurt, but you also might achieve things you never thought possible.
So you're saying the obstacles, like, they're not there to stop us. They're actually there to, like, make us stronger.
Exactly. The challenges, the setbacks, all of that. It's like that saying, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. It's like, think of it like, how blacksmiths use fire to temper steel. It's the heat and the pressure that actually makes the steel stronger and more resilient in the end. And, we see this play out really literally in the next stage of Santiago's journey, which is when he has to cross the Sahara Desert.
Yeah, talk about a trial by fire, right? I mean, that's where things really start to get real for Santiago.
Ah, for sure. The stakes get way higher. There's actual danger. And yet it's also during that time that Santiago has this really profound experience of connecting with the desert.
Yeah.
With the silence and the vastness of nature, like all of it.
And let's not forget about Fatima, the woman he meets at the oasis. I feel like their love story is one of the most memorable parts of the book for a lot of people.
Oh, absolutely. It's such a beautiful love story. But, like, even beyond the romance, I feel like it also touches on this deeper truth about the nature of love and destiny. Like, think about it. Fatima recognizes Santiago's personal legend, and she actually encourages him to pursue it, even though it means that they're going to have to be apart. She gets that their love isn't meant to trap him or hold him back.
Instead, it empowers him to, like, become his best self.
Yes. Exactly. And that really challenges, I think, like, that more traditional idea of romantic love being a destination, like the whole you complete me kind of thing. Instead, Coelho is suggesting that true love should actually inspire you to grow and evolve and become the best version of yourself.
Yeah, right. So it's not about finding someone who completes you, but about finding someone who inspires you to complete yourself.
Yes. Perfectly said. And it's actually really interesting to note that even though Santiago falls head over heels for Fatima, he doesn't abandon his quest. Like, it would have been so easy for him to just stay at the oasis with her and, live happily ever after.
Right, that definitely would have been the easy choice.
But he doesn't do that. And in fact, I think you can argue that it's actually through his love for Fatima that he's actually able to gain a deeper understanding of his own heart. Which, if you think about it, ultimately leads him closer to his personal legend.
Wow, that's really interesting. So you're saying that love and destiny, like, they're not mutually exclusive. It's not an either situation.
Exactly. And that's part of the beauty of Coelho's message, I think. Like, he's not advocating that everyone has to, like, renounce all earthly possessions and go live as a monk in the mountains in order to achieve enlightenment or whatever.
Like, you don't have to become a hermit to live your best life.
Exactly. Instead, he's saying that true fulfillment, like really feeling happy and satisfied with your life, it comes from embracing all aspects of life. Love, relationships, work, spirituality, all of it. And it's about finding a way to create harmony between all of those things.
And this brings us to, I think, the heart of the whole alchemical process, which is the transformation itself.
Right.
Yeah, and, like, this is where Santiago meeting the alchemist becomes, like, super important for his journey.
Oh, totally.
Because it's not just about learning the literal, like, steps of alchemy. It's about Santiago actually confronting, like, all his doubts and fears head on and proving that he's worthy of, like, actually learning the wisdom that the alchemist has to share.
Yes. Exactly. And one of the things that I love about the alchemist as a character is that he doesn't just like hand Santiago all the answers. He doesn't just tell him, here's the secret to alchemy, go forth and prosper or whatever.
Right.
Instead, he guides Santiago, he challenges him, he pushes him to really look inside himself and discover his own inner strength.
Right. Yeah, yeah. And then we get to that amazing scene where Santiago, like, literally turns himself into the wind, which, okay, on the surface, it's like a totally magical moment.
Yeah.
But it's also this really powerful metaphor for, like, what we can achieve when we fully commit to our personal legends. When we just, like, let go of all of our self-imposed limitations, all that baggage we carry around, and we just tap into that, like, universal energy, the soul of the world.
Yes. It's about realizing that we're not separate from the world around us. We are a part of it.
Hmm.
We're woven into the very fabric of existence. And like, once you embrace that, once you align yourself with the soul of the world, literally anything becomes possible.
It's such a powerful idea. But I feel like it also kind of raises this question of, like, what does it mean to turn into the wind in our own lives? Like, how do we actually do that?
That's a great question. And I think it looks different for everyone. But ultimately, I think it comes down to embracing change and like learning to trust your intuition, that gut feeling that tells you when something is right or wrong. It's about being willing to take risks, even if you can't predict the outcome. To step into the unknown with this deep inner knowing that the soul of the world has your back.
Right, right. And, we should probably mention that Santiago, like, he does find the treasure in the end, right?
He does, and this is what I love, it's not where he expected it to be, or even like what he expected it to be. And I think this is one of those parts that really gets people thinking, because the real treasure, the thing that truly transforms Santiago, it's not the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. It's the journey itself, all those experiences that he had along the way.
It's like all the wisdom and the growth and the self-discovery that he gained as he went along. That's the real treasure.
Exactly. The gold at the end is just a symbol.
It's like that moment when you look back on, like, a really challenging time in your life.
Mm-hmm.
And even though at the time it might have felt really hard and, maybe even impossible, you're able to see how much you learned and how far you've come because of it.
That's such a good point. And I think that's why The Alchemist has really stood the test of time.
Mm-hmm.
Because it speaks to this like universal human longing for meaning and purpose in life. We all want to feel like our lives have meaning. And I think deep down, we all want to feel connected to something that's bigger than ourselves.
Yeah, and I feel like The Alchemist reminds us that the journey is the treasure, and that the greatest adventure that we can ever go on is the pursuit of our own unique personal legends.
So well said.
So as we wrap up our deep dive into The Alchemist, I'm curious, what's one small step that you can take today to start listening to your heart, to notice the omens that are all around you, and to step boldly onto the path of your own personal legend? Because as The Alchemist so beautifully reminds us, when you truly want something, all the universe conspires in helping you to achieve it. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time.